Hello, my name is James, and welcome to Mirror Domains, and this is a spoiler-heavy review for Saaho. Now, I did a rather long and lengthy review for Saaho that was spoiler-free, where I broke it down rather critically. I analyzed a lot of the technical aspects of this film, but I felt like I had to do that because my final score was not as high as I wanted it to be, and I didn't want people to say, well, you're just hating for hating. I'm not. I saw value in the movie. I did like aspects of this movie. And I'll talk about that more as we get into some spoilers. This is the spoiler review for Saaho. So, Saaho! You know, it's been out for a while now, and I think a lot of people have been able to take it in. If you wanted to see this movie, you've seen it by now. So let's talk about some spoilers. I'm going to try to be as brief as I can. I'm not going to try to ramble on and on. But if you want to see my spoiler-free video, I'll leave a link to that up in the cards above. Because, I'm going to address some of the story plot points here, and if you don't want to get spoiled, then you don't want to watch this video. So let's just get into the meat of the conversation and talk about a lot of the story setup. This movie takes place, I guess, in like a fictional world, and they spend a good bulk of it in the beginning, like 5 minutes of it or so. They're talking about the city, Waiju, or whatever it's called. And, it's a fictional city, and it has to be because you can tell that these buildings aren't really real. And they talk about the crime organizations and their dealings and stuff like that, and like the how that is all organized, and how how this Roy company is set up with a leader and all of the delegates. It's just kind of like, it kind of gets a little bogged down to begin with. Like, if I'm going to start off this review by laying out, hey, I'm going to talk like this for 5 minutes, I'm going to talk about this point for 5 minutes, I'm going to talk about that for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to finally finish with this. If I start off my videos with that kind of an exposition, you know, as much as people like to be knowing what the layout of things are, for movies, I'd just rather have been shown it instead of just talked about it. Because in the end, it's kind of like you're starting off kind of shooting yourself in the foot. You're not showing like the big opening scene. And that's what I really like to look at when I look at a movie is, okay, especially when it comes to the writing, is what's the opening scene? What's the big thing that catches your eye and makes you say, hey, I want to watch this movie. This is the hook. And for you to open it up with a whole lot of talking, a whole lot of background talk, it's a tough battle to win. And I'm saying that it hasn't been done before. It has. It's not always worked. Like, I think the first Dune movie started off with a whole bunch of exposition to that universe. And it's kind of like, did it work for that movie? Not really. I don't know if I've ever seen it work. So I can understand it's a fake universe, but do you really need to say that it was fake? You just mention it, and the audiences are going to be smart enough to pick it up that it's not an exact real place. Okay, let's talk about that first twist, the one that actually got me. When the first half of the movie is set up as kind of like a buddy cop, you know, this team of cops trying to find this thief. It's kind of like, oh, okay, all right. And Prabhas is playing the lead investigator, teaming up with Shraddha Kapoor. He's playing Ashok in the first half, and Shraddha's Amrita. So I'm thinking, okay, I like this chemistry. I like the team dynamic. As I said, Goswami was fantastic. And, I thought for that part, that was really good. And then the twist is that, oh no, he's the thief. And that got me. That reveal got me. Like, I was sitting there, oh, okay. Like, when he gets out of his car, okay. Oh, I get it. That's a nice twist. How are they going to play this out? And I felt like that was was handled fairly well. That was like my favorite part of the movie, actually. The first half was actually my favorite part. Now, in that first half, they do kind of use that trope. They kind of laid down the groundwork for that to pay off, in the sense that in his investigative skills as the cop, Shook, he was doing stuff on the side to help them solve things. But in the end, you realize that he was just setting them up. Like when he goes to the bar and he talks to the actual cop, I felt like, okay, there's a scene there where he's talking to the guy, and it's kind of like bad guy and good guy are talking to each other. I like that scene. That was good. But, that happened with a flashback. And that kind of thing happened like too much. It happened too much. Like they're in solving the case, they're working on the case, everything's working fine, and they're like, wait a minute, it jumps for a second here. How did you get there? Oh, well, let me tell you how I got there in this little flashback scene. And look at me, I was so smart. That's how they did it. And that worked for the first couple times, but you saw that they were using that as a story trope, and it kind of shot itself in the foot. This movie shot itself in the foot with that, because when it came down to the last part of the movie, like the big action scene, the big heist, you're like, the vault is not in those trucks. We've seen this. It's not in there. And it's kind of like, but it's supposed to be smart. It's supposed to be, on the edge. It's cutting edge storytelling. But you already set us up to be aware of this kind of stuff, so it's not that shocking. It's not shocking. And it's not that smart. It's as a storytelling device. That's where I would have to say. And I know that a lot of people are saying, well, you just don't understand it. It's a cultural thing. No, it's not. It's not. It's something that I felt like should have been used maybe once in the beginning, and then that's the big twist at the end. That's the second big twist at the end. And because they used that storytelling device so much in the beginning, it lost all steam and impact at the end. And that's when it should have been really the big payoff, should have been at the end, because that's your big climax, and that's traditional storytelling. And it just kind of lost its flair. What else do I see in people commenting? Loud. It's loud. Yeah, there's a lot of loud music cues. As I said, it's shot like a music video for the most part. Like even the dialogue scenes are kind of like somebody's walking into the room. It's dun 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 dun. It's like, oh my god, okay, somebody's just walking. He's just walking in the room, but it's in slow motion. And he's a bad guy because he's smoking a big cigar and he's drinking some alcohol, which is probably just iced tea. But I mean, come on. But if he was wearing a mustache and twirling it, it's kind of like, really, guys, it's a little bit on the nose. And I can see how that would rub people the wrong way, and it has. Okay, so as far as that goes, I did like the music, though. I thought the music was great. I liked the dance numbers, and as I said, Bad Boy was was a fun little side venture in the movie. I like that, and any Sony. Oh God, yeah, I like that imagery. They went to some nice places in the world to shoot that, and it was photographed beautifully. The soundtrack definitely by far is the best part of this movie. And for that alone, I say, yeah, go see it. Talking about some of the visual effects and the stunts, they overstretched. They stretched their bounds. I can understand them trying to push the envelope and say, hey, here's what we can do. But the thing is that here in North America, some of the stuff that they were trying to do, we've already accomplished and made look good. And to see that they can't quite achieve the same standard as we have, especially with a lot of the green screen stuff of people falling off cliffs or jumping off buildings, you have to stretch your imagination. And for me, I felt like it was a little bit too much. If they dialed some of that stuff back, then it would have had more of an impact. Like visual effects, you got to go for as much in-camera stuff as you can, the way I feel. And that's the way it makes it look real. And they did a good job in bringing in a stunt coordinator, a guy who shot stuff for Michael Bay. in shooting that stuff, like a lot of stuff on the highway stuff, that was really well done. That was what I wanted to see. And then when it's contrasted with some guy falling out of a building that's obviously on a CG screen and you can almost practically see the wires, like you can see, oh, well, that's where he's going to be attached by the wires. It's kind of like, yeah, that juxtaposition of them being back to back is kind of, yeah, it didn't mix well. And I wished it did. I wish it did. And that's just the way I felt about it. Here is my top 5 movies of the year. Did it crack my top 5 movies of the year? It did not. But it didn't end up in my worst movies of the year. By far. It's still an experience that I think if you want to see the big spectacle, if you want to see a big flashy movie on the screen, go see Saaho. I think it's great. It's good in that aspect. Like, if you want to see Prabhas, yeah, he does a good job with this role. He does a very good job. And for that, yeah, I would say go see it, but you just know it's not going to be the best thing since sliced bread, right? It's not. So, yeah, that's it. That's all I really want to talk about for spoilers. And if you wanted to see my non-spoiler one up there, you can. I'll leave the link, as I said. Saaho, what did you guys think about it? Did you feel some of the same way I felt? Let me know in the comments below. All right, YouTube is recommending a video for you to watch right there. And you can see my latest one just right up here. My name is James, and you're watching Mere Domains. If you've liked what you've seen, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe.